to the dollar store and grabbed some paper towel holders. I grabbed a paper towel holder and I placed it onto the command hook. I grabbed my hats and slid it onto the paper towel holder. I started with dollar store adhesive and spread it on the bottom of my pencil holders. I grabbed some fishing line and I wove it through each of the pencil holders and tied it into place. I grabbed some silverware, placed them into each of the pencil holders. I started by grabbing a sign from the dollar store. I grabbed some adhesive and I spread it around the base of a paper towel holder. Next, I placed them onto the board together and I let this set. I grabbed a hanger and slid it onto the paper towel tubes. Head over to the dollar store and grab some baskets. Grab 2 dish stacking racks and place them overlapping each other. Grab some wide zip ties, pull the zip ties tight, hang this vertically on a wall, roll up some towels and place it in between all the legs of the dish racks. Grab some shower curtain rings, grab the hooks of your jeans, fold them in half and place them onto the shower curtain rings. You can also use this same concept by putting the handles of your purses into the shower curtain rings. You can also hang your shower curtain rings onto a hanger and then place your tank tops onto the shower curtain rings. Grab a basket. Place your flip-flops in a V formation into the basket. Once you have them all into the basket, place it on a shelf. Grab some wire baskets and some shower hanging hooks. Place 4 shower hanging hooks in the corners of one of the wire baskets and connect those to another basket above. On the top basket, you'll repeat the same process. Place this in your closet. I started by painting the crates with some white paint. Once the crates were dry, I went ahead and slid them onto the hanging rack.
Take plastic frames purchased from Dollar Tree and lay them face up in rows next to each other in a drawer. Place spices on top of them. Take a broom handle, wrap it in macrame string. Take gold baskets from Dollar Tree and zip ties. Zip tie and secure the baskets to the broom handle. Take 2 command hooks for brooms and place them on the wall sideways. Take 2 wire cabinet shelves and 2 plastic bins. Bend the legs of the shelves towards the center. Place storage container lids in the grooves. Now you have the perfect plastic storage container organization. Take 2 wire shower caddies and weave them together. Use zip ties, cut the zip tie tails. Now you have the perfect storage for cooking pans, baking sheets.
You'll need 10 of these buckets and a collection of zip ties. I am going to start by connecting 4 buckets by the handles. Once I have 4 together for the base, now I'm going to make the second layer. So I'm going to need 3 buckets for this, and I'm going to use a Sharpie to mark where I can connect these buckets. Now I'm going to use a wood burning tool to put some holes right through the plastic. Once I have the holes made on both the bottom row and the second row, I'm just going to connect them with zip ties again. The very top is going to have 1 bucket right on top. This works incredibly well in the corner of a room. Buff all the ends of the zip ties, making sure it's nice and safe.
Take a clear adhesive hook from Dollar Tree and a paper towel holder. Add toilet paper rolls and you have easy and inexpensive toilet paper storage. Place scrunchies and hair ties over the top and you have an easy and cheap storage solution. Loop the zip ties around the paper towel stand, evenly spaced and secure in place. Take scissors and cut off the excess of the zip tie. Use a mini hot glue gun to add little dots of hot glue to make sure the zip ties stay in place. Cover the entire stand with gold spray paint.
Are you tired of those overcrowded cabinets? Grab you 2 cake pans and a bag of marbles. Take one of those other cake pans, put it on top, and look at it spin. It's perfect for organizing.
Head over to Dollar Tree and grab these hanging flower baskets. You'll also need a tomato cage. I stuck it into the ground and grabbed some black Rust-Oleum spray paint and spray painted the entire tomato cage, cut the bottom ends off. I placed the flower baskets onto the tomato cage. Run on over to the Dollar Tree and grab one of these blue baskets. What can you do if you don't have enough cabinet space? Grabbed a ruler and I'm marking where exactly I want each of these bins to go on my wall. Now for stability, you can choose exactly how you'd like to adhere these baskets to your wall, adding 2 screws to each basket or possibly 4. You're going to need some hooks. I'm going to grab some bins and I'm going to hook them onto the hook. So now I can separate out my darks from my whites. I'm going to take an over the door hanging rack and I'm going to hook it over the top of my door. This is perfect for ironing board. We're going to start with a baking pan and we're going to fill it with a bunch of marbles. I need to remove the back off the glue dots and then peel off the backing. And I'm going to place it onto the bottom of the baking sheet. I'm going to flip them back over. As you can see here, this swivels really nicely. I'm going to take a cooling rack. I'm going to bend up either side. Now I'm going to tip those cooling racks up and I'm going to tie the top of the cooling racks together as well as the bottom. I'm going to place the glue dots onto the baking sheet. Take those cooling racks and I'm going to stick them onto the glue dots. And I'm going to press firmly to make sure they adhere well.
Grab a cooling rack and some E6000 and a dollar store chalkboard to put 4 dots of E6000 glue on the back of the chalkboard, press down and let dry. Hang with command hooks on the wall. Grab a cooling rack and clip on some dollar store clips and pencil holders. I picked up a dollar store cooling rack and a dollar store bin. I placed the cooling rack inside the bin, and from there I was able to organize the Tupperware lids perfectly. Grab a cooling rack and some pliers to bend the cooling rack into a U shape. Be gentle as you do this, as the bars of the cooling rack might break if you aren't careful. Now the spice shelf is no more and it's so much easier to get to everything. You can also hang a cooling rack sideways with command hooks and put in scarves, jewelry, kitchen utensils, sunglasses.
You'll need 4 of these chrome napkin holders, a paper towel holder, a set of these plastic chopping boards. First thing is to trace the napkin holder onto the chopping board 4 times and then cut out the half circles. I'm attaching those pieces of the plastic chopping board to the side of the napkin holder. I'm going to take these napkin holders and glue them to the bottom of the paper towel holder. Attach 2 more toward the top of the paper towel holder. Once the glue is all dry, for a little added security, I'm going to use some zip ties.
So what I've got here is a pool noodle from an old project that's already cut. And then what I need to do from here is just take a pen or a pencil or marker and just kind of mark where this spot is. I'm just gonna go ahead and make a slit into about half of the pool noodle. Next, I'm gonna flip the noodle over and I've got these great little picture holder strips and you're gonna wanna put it on the back side of where each of these are. So I start by peeling the backing off. And now I stick and press it on the wall and I need to wait 30 seconds at minimum. I just open the pool noodle like so and I stick my broom handle inside. Here they are all hung up and I'm just absolutely thrilled with how easy this was and how it turned out.
I've got some weird hacks around the house you can do using just some regular tools that you can find in your drawers. Let's start with a peach. And now we hate that peach pit that's inside. All you got to do is take some needle nose pliers, stick it in, get a good grip on it, and slowly pull it right on out. You're going to pull that pit right out and it's ready to cut up and enjoy. Next, you got that ottoman or couch or anything in your house, piece of furniture that's got dog hair, any kind of dirt or dust. Well, I went down to Dollar Tree and I grabbed myself a toilet bowl cleaner. I'm going to mark it about 6 inches down. I'm going to grab my jigsaw and cut the handle off. It's easy to do. And then take all those little burrs off. Next, I'm going to do is stick it in my drill and I'm going to turn on high speed. What it's going to do is it's going to get really deep inside those fibers and it's going to start getting all that dirt off. Normally, you want to use a vacuum cleaner, but when those fibers are stuck, you can't get it off and this drill does the job. We've all got those plastic inserts just hanging out in our wall and they're hard to grab, especially with pliers, and you don't want to damage the wall. Grab a wine cork puller and go ahead and put it right in there, twisting it as you go. It's not going to damage the wall, and once you get a good grip, pull those handles down and watch this. It pops right out and all you have to do is fill it with some putty. I know we've all got those doors that are just getting stuck because they're worn out with those keys. What we got to do is grab a pencil, especially one with graphite. Graphite's a natural lubrication and you can put it on there and it's better than WD-40 because this gets inside there. It's a dry lubricant and put it inside, back and forth, and look at that. It's so much easier and gives a longer life to your doorknob, and you don't have to change it out. Next, you hate working under that kitchen sink, and you dread it because it's got that horrible sharp edge right underneath the cabinet. Working on there's a pain, especially right in your back. What you can do is take a pool noodle with a serrated knife, cut it to the perfect size you need, and slice it not in half, but just down right to the middle. Open it up with your fingers, and what you're going to do is stick it right on the edge of that cabinet. Only have to do it when you're working on it, and it gives it a nice bumper right there. Easy to put your back on, and you don't have to worry about having pains later. Last but not least, let's head down to Dollar Tree and grab us another brush. We're going to cut that handle off. We want a nice round one for this, and X marks the spot right inside the middle. We're going to take a drill and drill it through there. Be careful, your fingers are really close. Once you get it nice cleaned out, you're going to stick a bolt through the bristle side and have it stick out through the back. Then you're going to put a nut or a washer on top there. Now, look at that grout lines. Those are awful. We're going to put our favorite cleaner down there and just put this thing on high speed. Clean it all up, and look at that. That's better, and it saves you a lot of elbow grease. I hope this inspired you to use as many unconventional ways of using your tools around the house. Thanks for watching Hometalk, and we'll catch you next time.
When you are in the container aisle of the dollar store, pick up a couple of white wire shelves. Flip one shelf upside down and lay the second shelf on top, overlapping about a third of the shelf. Now take some zip ties and connect the shelves together. Be sure to pull tight on the zip ties so the shelves are securely tied to each other. Remove the rubber tips from the ends of the shelves. Grab each arm on the shelves and bend them from their 90-degree angle to about a 45-degree angle. Next, give the entire shelf unit a coat of spray paint. This is the perfect shelf caddy for holding rolled up hand towels and washcloths. Grab a short glass container with a screw-on lid. Take a large marble and glue it to the center of the lid. Next, spray paint both the glass container and the screw-on lid. To style your new jar, take a small wood cutting board from the kitchen and use it as a tray to hold the jar and other beauty products. Head to the garden section, grab one of their metal French garden buckets. Give the entire bucket several light coats of overspray with some white spray paint. Take a black paint pen. Once you get a feel for how much pressure to apply, start to outline the bottom rim of the bucket with the paint pen. Let that dry, and then start to outline the lettering on the bucket. Once the letters have dried, outline the top rim of the bucket. Next, take some old drawer knobs and glue the knob to the bottom of the bucket. Style on a bathroom counter beside a sink by filling with hand soap and paper hand towels.
When I saw the bottle of mouthwash on the countertop, I knew this was the perfect way to add a little luxury to my bathroom and get rid of that ugly mouthwash bottle. Next up, I decided to stamp my toilet paper rolls. First, I want to run the tap a little bit so there's just some water left over that I'm going to use. Then I just touch the area near the tip to the tap, and the water will make a beautiful seal. As it dries, it keeps the folded paper in place and makes everything look so much nicer. Finally, I want to do something with the towels. To fold the large ones, I lay them flat, then I want to fold the sides over towards the middle. I then need to simply fold it in half, and then I can place it over the bar. If I want something a little different though, I can lay the towel face down, and before I fold in the sides, I want to make an extra fold to the side I want showing. This is going to create a little pocket when I turn it over and fold the towel in half. I'm going to slip the smaller towel right over the larger ones, and then I'm going to slip a few of these flower stems into the pocket.
Bathrooms can become disheveled and disorganized, but today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my top bathroom hacks. So first up, bar of soap gets very messy on the counter. So I'm going to take my soap dish and I'm going to fill it with some river rocks that I got at my local dollar store. Next up, I'm going to show you a cute way to dress up your toilet paper roll. So you're going to rip off one sheet and then two sheets that are attached together. And then you're going to take the end and you're going to just fold it into a triangle. So this is the very end piece that's still attached to our roll. And you can see here I've just folded it under. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to just very gently poke two holes. And then you're going to go ahead and with the one square that you ripped off, you're just going to fold it into a little roll here. And then with the two pieces that are still attached together, you're going to fold them over each other, and then you're going to use your fingers to pinch them down into the middle, and you're going to make a bow shape. Then you're going to take the piece that you took off and rolled up, and you're going to wrap it around to make a bow, and you're just going to slide it through those 2 holes that you ripped into the toilet paper, and then wrap it around the back. Another sore spot in the bathroom is hand towels, so I just fold the towel over 2 times, and then I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to fold it the other way vertically. So I'm going to take these ends and I'm just going to fold them into the middle on each side, and then once I've done that, I'm going to fold the towel in half, and then what you'll see here is that I have a neat little pocket here, and then I can lay this over my towel rack. Now for my washcloth, I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to fold it accordion style, and then this is going to make a nice little fan that's going to sit in the pocket. If you want to roll your washcloths like they do at a spa, I'm going to show you how to do that now. So you start with a square washcloth and you grab 2 of the pointy ends and you fold them into the middle, and then you flip it over and just fold it back 3/4 of the way, and then begin to roll your washcloth. And then when you'll see here, you have a little pocket here that you can tuck the tail into, and this holds them nice and tight.
Grab some 2x2s to increase your bathroom storage in a few easy steps. I cut 4 2x2s to 6 feet each and cut 6 to 19 inches, and I cut another 6 to 4 inches each. I sanded all the boards, then used my Craig jig to drill pocket holes in each side of the smallest 2x2. I secured the 4-inch boards to the 19-inch boards with pocket screws and wood glue, and used a countersink bit to pre-drill the long 2x2 to the rectangle frame. I filled the screw holes with wood filler on the front side only and sanded the excess off smooth once dry. I wiped, cleaned, and painted the frame. While that was drying, I sanded cedar 1x6 boards, ripped them down to size, and sealed them with 2 coats of polyurethane. I used a brad nailer to secure the cedar boards to the top of each rectangle base and slid the shelf over my toilet.
I found this door on Facebook Marketplace and it was finally time to put it to use. The first step was to remove my existing bathroom door. After measuring my new door, I purchased a 1x8 to act as my header. We leveled it off and bolted it to 4 studs. Securing the track was easy as the barn door kit I ordered from Amazon came with everything I needed. After the track was hung, we drilled 4 holes into the top of the door, attached the hanging brackets, and secured them with the included bolts. To finish it off, I added some privacy cling film since this is a bathroom after all. This was super easy to use as it bonds to glass with just water.
I wanted to give this wall behind a toilet a feature without spending money. We'd recently changed the flooring and I had 1 box of luxury vinyl plank flooring left over. I started with the first plank at the top of the wall. I made sure it was level. I continued attaching pieces and securing them with the nail gun. At the bottom, I cut the plank so that it wouldn't interfere with the water line. The wall was looking great, but I needed to work on the trim pieces at the end. Since there were leftover materials lying around, I bought some L brackets and attached them to the 1x4 pieces. I then set these where I wanted them on the wall, made sure they were level, and attached them. I ran down to the hardware store and picked up 2 sheets of beadboard. Then I measured and cut the beadboard down to size using a table saw. I attached it to the wall with my nail gun. It took no time at all. The next step was to add a wood border to the top. I used very inexpensive common board. Then I painted the top of it before attaching it to the wall. When I attached the board, there was a small gap between the wood and beadboard, but it was easy to fill this gap using paintable caulking. Once that dried, I got started with painting. In order to finish off my beadboard accent, I added hooks.
So I went to the dollar store and I bought 3 bags of those vase filler gems. After sorting them, I washed them off using Blue Dawn and water and then laid them out to dry. I drew lines from the edge of the vanity to meet the mirror line. I applied a thin coat of mastic using a small notched trowel. Then the fun began as I pressed the gems into the mastic. I worked in small sections so the mastic wouldn't dry too quickly. Once I was done, I mixed the grout. I mixed 1 cup of grout to a 1/2 cup of water. I applied the grout in small sections, making sure I was pushing it between each of the gems. I wanted to make sure that every spot was filled in between them. After 1 hour, I checked again, and yep, it was nice and dry. Using a large spun and plain water, I washed away all of the excess grout. I removed the painter's tape that I had placed on the top of the vanity and applied caulk, smoothing it out with my finger.
No need to go out shopping for home decor. Make your own at home. Just grab a roll of toilet paper. Cut some long lengths of yarn, about a yard or so each. With a hot glue gun, apply a small dot of glue on the inside edge of the toilet paper roll. Lay the end of a length of yarn on the glue and let it dry until it is securely attached to the roll. Wrap the yarn around the outside of the roll and stuff the yarn through the inner hole to the other side. Continue to wrap the outside of the toilet paper roll with the yarn side by side. When you get to the end of the yarn length, simply glue the end to the inside of the roll. Continue with additional lengths of yarn until you wrap the yarn around the entire outer surface of the roll. Glue and restart the yarn as needed. Glue the final yarn end to the inside of the roll. Then apply some glue to the ends of a couple of cinnamon sticks and stick them into the top of the yarn-wrapped roll. Wrap the sticks with a ribbon and add a fall-colored leaf to the side of the cinnamon sticks. Display your new autumn pumpkin to usher in a beautiful fall season. Shop your closet at home and grab a pillar candle. Then grab a single paper napkin. Measure the height of the candle, mark the measurement on the back side of the napkin, and cut the napkin so it is the same height and circumference of the candle. Take your cut piece of napkin and peel the top layer away from the bottom. Keep the patterned layer and discard the plain layer. Wrap this top layer around the pillar candle and line up the edges so the candle is evenly covered. Tear a large piece of wax paper and wrap the napkin-covered candle with the wax paper. Set an iron on medium-low heat. I set mine between 3 and 4 on the heat setting. Lightly press the iron across the top of the wax-covered napkin-wrapped candle. Cover the entire outside surface of the candle with low heat. Keep the pressure light and let the heat do the work. Peel away the wax paper and reveal your new, gorgeous patterned candle. Display your candle with other fall decor and enjoy its beautiful ambience, whether you light the candle or not. I hope this inspired you to make a beautiful textured pumpkin as well as elegant patterned pillar candles just from shopping your own house. Thanks for watching Home Talk. I'll see you next time.
Next time you're at the dollar store, don't pass by these pot trolleys. I also headed to my local hardware store and I just grabbed one tomato cage. For the base of this project, I used a large planter. I added in these pretty black-eyed Susans, and then I came in with some heavy garden rocks, and I just placed these around just to weigh down the base of this. And I had to cut off the upper rung from this tomato cage. I took it over to my potted plant and worked it in gently around the black-eyed Susans. Once it was in place, I came in with my pot trolley and I placed this on top of the tomato cage, and I'm just going to add in this little decorative piece. This is just going to weigh down the pot trolley and keep it in place, and then I'm going to add in some water here.
Grab some crystal punch bowls from the Dollar Tree store. Start by placing one of the bowls upside down on your surface. Then place 3 to 4 clear, removable, double-sided glue dots on the base of the bowl. Now place the second bowl right side up on top of the first. Place some more glue dots on the base of the third bowl before adding the fourth bowl. Fill the bowl with water and add your solar fountain.
Grab a wire mesh trash can from the dollar store. Take a remote-controlled puck light. These are available at Amazon and attached to the inside bottom of the trash can. Now flip the trash can upside down and hook one end of the chain to one side of the basket bottom. Next, take a length of greenery garland and cut it into roughly 12-inch pieces. Now take some florist wire and start to wire the garland pieces to the top. Grab a couple of larger sized plastic planter pots and a clear round tray. Flip one of the pots over and hot glue the bottom of this pot to the bottom of the other pot.
we're going to head down to our local nursery and pick up some paver edges. Whatever side you choose though, make sure they both match when you're putting them together. Next, we got to make sure we adhere them with some good liquid nails. You want to put a liberal amount on both sides. Don't go, the more you put, the better, because pavers are very rough and that glue is going to fill the inside. Once we do it, we're going to turn it up on its edge and we're going to stick two of the pavers together, making sure they match. Once you get those two together and you let it dry a couple hours, you can lay it flat. We're then going to grab our third paver and we're going to put another bead of glue on top. You're going to put it right down the middle of the two pavers that you did. So once you get that on and let that dry, turn those three over again. Make sure you're giving a couple hours so it holds together. And we're going to again put some glue on the edge of that paver and put it in place. Now we got the top of our project right here, and I'm going to run a bead of glue down each edge on top. And then I'm going to take my top paver, put it on top right there.
You're not going to believe what I made with this plunger and funnel. I removed the wood stick from the plunger and flipped the rubber end inside out. I drew a circle on the top. I cut out the circle and trimmed the edges and spray painted it with Rust-Oleum black spray paint. While that was drying, I cut and sanded 1x6 wood planks. I attached the painted rubber plunger piece to the barnwood with 4 black screws. Next, I cut the wood plunger handle and I screwed it into the plunger part. I attached the funnel to the wood plunger handle. I used hot glue and attached a battery-operated puck light.
Headed down to my local Dollar Tree. I'm going to start with these glass beads. I'm going to also head over and get some rubbing alcohol. Next, I grabbed this bowl, got it from Home Depot. I'm going to grab some sand, start putting it in the bottom. So you want to fill it up to where when you get your bowl, you're going to kind of be level with the top and it has a firm foundation. Let's go ahead and start putting some more sand in so that it holds it in place. To level it out. Make sure that bowl is firm. We don't want any spillage or that thing moving when we light it up. Go ahead and put the metal bowl in, and then remember those glass beads and start placing them all the way around. Take that rubbing alcohol and pour a little bit in there. Give it a little bit of a flame and it's going to light right up. Go ahead and grab yourself a tomato cage and also grab some wood shims. Grab a scrap board, take the thick end, you're going to get a nice clean hole, and we're going to do this to all of our shims. What we're going to do is take a towel and just dip it in there, make sure it's all covered. Just wipe it on there. The sticky points that go into the ground, we don't need those. It's just going to snap right off. Now we're going to grab us some copper wire. We're going to put that through the shim with the hole in it. Just use it like a twist tie. Go all the way around. Once you get the second layer done, we're going to grab us a solar light from Dollar Tree. Take off that small part on the bottom, the stake, we don't need that, and let it float right in the middle. Now we're going to work on that last circle.
Pick up 2 matching plastic pots from Dollar Tree. Drill holes into the bottom of each for drainage. Then use some hot glue to glue them together. Pick up some of this rope. Use it with hot glue and coil it around. I'm choosing to create an oval. You could also create a circle depending on the space. I used 7 coils of jute. Grab the tumbling tower game from the toy section. You can leave these as is. I chose to add a light stain to mine. I'm creating a flat base with 4 of the blocks. Glue them together with wood glue so they really hold up. Then I'm going to add legs to the outside. I've created a couple different heights with the legs. Grab some solar lights from Dollar Tree to create this outdoor decor. I'm going to grab a pool noodle as well. I'm going to cut this into small 1-inch sections, and then I'm going to paint 3 of those sections a really dark black color. I picked up this really heavy metal candle holder from a thrift store. Now I'm going to put it all together. Then I can grab my solar lights, pull off that bottom, I don't need that, and I can glue each of the lights into the center of the pool noodle. Grab a solar light, pull off the stake, we don't need that part. Then use some hot glue to add it to a metal sconce. I picked these up at the thrift store. They're nice and heavy. Then use a screw hook in a fence or a deck and hang the sconces outside.
The next time you're at the thrift store, don't pass by the vase aisle with grabbing some of the globe-shaped vases. I'm going to make sure I give them a good clean. Came in with this Americana Enchanted paint, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint all the glass vases that I bought with just a nice light coat. Now you do want to make sure that you buy pots that have holes in the bottom. That's very important. And then I'm going to come in with some heavy strength Gorilla Glue here and apply it to the bottom of the terracotta pot. And then I'm going to put my globe on top top of that. Then I picked up these fairy solar lights off of Amazon, and this is why you want the hole in the bottom of the terracotta pot, because I'm going to be threading the fairy lights through this hole up into the globe.
Pick up one garden border from your local Dollar Tree. Cut the spiked bases off, add small black zip ties to attach the wreath form to the border fence. Wrap the border fence with small twinkle lights all the way around. Add greenery of choice around the top of the border fence with hot glue.
I have got these melamine plastic plates I just picked up at the dollar store. I've also got a couple of these larger silver coloured plates. That's isopropyl alcohol. I've just cleaned the plate with that. I'm going to take a little bit out of alcohol here. I'm just going to squirt it onto the plate. And then I've got these really lovely, I'm going to drop a little bit on here. I'm just going to move this around a bit to start with. Alcohol on there. There we go. Here we go. A little bit more of that. You can use a hairdryer or a heat gun. I'm just going to go around and around in circles and just see if we can get some nice kind of edges. Okay, now because this is alcohol ink, I'm actually going to seal it with this Kmart varnish. The second version that I'm going to do on these little plates is I'm actually going to use these stick and style stencils. This I've already coated with a second coat of paint. Okay, let's take this stencil off and see how it looks. Our third technique that we're going to create on these plates is going to be, we're going to go full Jackson Pollock. Next up, we're going to use this silver bullet. Exactly the same, we can do that on one of our smaller plates.
Buy an affordable mirror at Walmart or use an upcycled one. Insert playing cards inside the crease of the mirror. Paint on a couple of coats of acrylic paint to change the border color of the mirror. Add some tape to secure the cards if the cards won't stay in place while painting. Keep painting until the mirror is coated and allow the paint to dry. Remove the tape and the cards from the mirror. Grab a rub-on transfer sheet and trim around the image. Get an idea of where you want to place the image on the mirror. Peel off the backing and stick it on. Rub on the transfer image using a towel or your fingers, and then peel off the plastic film.
First, you're going to take some soft, thick rope and cut it into 7-inch strips. And you're going to uncoil it, fold it in half, and take the loop side and pull it through the last ring. Pull that through the loop and pull it taut. And just keep adding your tassels all the way around. Take some hot glue. You're going to add a mirror to the center of this. Next, you're going to take one piece of rope, glue that right up against the top of the tassels. Now you're going to take a piece of twine, and I put some hot glue on the end. Continue stringing the beads. Then you're going to tie off your little bead necklace and then hot glue that into place.
Take one of those simple $7 stand-up mirrors that you can get. What we did was we brought some Mosaic tile, just take a razor knife, trim them off, and they're ready to go. You just lay it right down, right through the middle there. You're just gonna go ahead and just lay it down in there, get your perfect spacing. Once our glue has dried, wipe the grout, across the grout lines just like that. And you're just gonna brush it off just a little bit.
Let's create an anthropology dupe. So I'm going to grab a couple different styles of this pretty paper and I'm going to cut it into 4-inch squares. Now I'm going to paint a thin coat of Mod Podge onto a white ceramic tile. Now I'm going to press these two together, seal them in really good, get any bubbles out. Now I'm going to come back and add a top coat of Mod Podge. I'm going to repeat this with about 35 tiles. I cut a piece of plywood to size and I'm going to paint the top using a white chalk paint. Now I'm going to place a full-length mirror right in the middle. Now to attach the mirror to the wood, I'm using Gorilla Glue. Once I've got the mirror down, I'm adding this board and some weight, and I'm going to let this set for 24 hours. Now I'm going to dry fit the tiles into a pattern around the mirror. For the corners, where I have a little bit of a smaller space, I'm actually just going to use a square of paper. So the first thing I'm doing is adding a little bit of water to the wood with a paintbrush. Now for the tiles, I'm using Gorilla Glue again, and then the two are pressed together. And I'm going to let the whole thing set for 24 hours.
Before applying my moss to my mirror, I want to make sure that it is very well cleaned. And I'm going to layer my moss in first. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue. Then I'm going to stick in my moss right over top of the hot glue, leaving one corner without moss.
I took out all of my butterflies and I took some metallic gold spray paint.
We're going to put a little bit of hot glue and I kind of want to hide the frame a little bit. We're going to attach it to my circular mirror that I have here. I'm going to flip this over, let it dry here for just a moment.
I'm going to take this mirror that I picked up at my local thrift store, and I'm then going to take these half sphere wooden balls, and they fit very nicely here. Once I'm happy with how they are being arranged, I'm going to bring in some glue. So I'm just continue arranging them and just take a Q-tip and clean up any extra glue that has oozed out. I let this set for a good 2 hours.
I've taken the mirror out, I've got all my paints laid out, so I'm going to paint each section in this order. Just kind of mingling the paint together. Highlight the whole mirror with this metallic copper paint.
I want to scuff up the surface with a gritty piece of sandpaper. I want to give the frame 2 coats of this beautiful mossy green paint. I want to dry brush some lighter green on. I'm going to use some transfers. I'm going to use a small plastic card. With all of the transfers in place, I want to add some depth to my scene and paint on some snow.
Head on over to your local Walmart and grab their $7 mirror. Place the mirror directly in the center of the table just as you would a regular table runner. Clean off the mirror with some glass cleaner to remove any fingerprints or smudges. Then start styling your table.
For this project, you're going to want to run over to your local dollar store and grab some glass gems. I painted the board a little bit of a white wash on the back just so it gives a good color for the backing. Now this all-purpose glue is perfect. All you got to do is lay it down, take the mirror after you got a few marks to center it, and place it on the board. Using the same all-purpose glue and a popsicle stick, and you're just going to put a little bit of glue on the back. Just slide them into place. You'll want to use non-sanded grout. Put your water in and start stirring it. Once you get it mixed pretty good, add your choice of paint color. Keep pushing it on there and get in between every glass gem. Once you got it down, grab your sponge, squeeze it out, not too damp, and you're just going to start wiping the top. Today's project starts with that popular toy called the hula hoop. We're going to lay out 6 of these so we can get a good measurement. Once I get these all cut out, it's time to lay them out. The 2 long ends on one side and the 2 short ends on the other. I used brad nails to put each of the ends together. You can use screws, but these work just as good. Once I got the frame all glued up, I'm going to go ahead and put the hula hoops back in place, 6 of them. Now, once these are in place, I need to use some zip ties to put them together. Now that all 6 are in, I'm going to place one in between the middle, right where the 4 come together. And again, anywhere they touch another hula hoop, I want to use a zip tie to put it together. And then it's time to paint. I'm going to go with the gray primer look on this one. You want to make sure you put small coats on first. While that was drying, I realized, how am I going to hold it up? I'm going to need to build some mini legs for this. So I took some of the scrap wood I had, cut them at 45-degree angles for some of the bracing, and I put it on there. I'm going to let this all dry up. And then I'm going to take some vines that I got and I'm going to lay it all over the top. I'm going to wrap this all around the top and on the sides. Last but not least, I wanted to put some lights on too.
Grab a hula hoop and fairy lights to make this outdoor display. So I'm going to start by spray painting them black. I opted for this really long strand of lights from Dollar Tree. It's on a wire, so it's really easy to wrap around the hula hoop. I'm going to hang these in my gazebo to add a little light. I'm using zip ties to attach these to the rail along the top of my gazebo.
I'm laying down 6 21-inch hula hoops on some butcher block paper. Each hoop is getting spray painted in black. I applied several coats to ensure all areas were well covered. I'm going to join 4 hoops to the first hoop, attaching evenly on all 4 sides. I'm attaching the first hoop loosely with a black zip tie. 3 more hula hoops are being attached to the first hula hoop, creating an even pattern of 5. A 6th hula hoop is being placed on top of an exterior hula hoop and attached with a zip tie on its left side only. Each hula hoop on each side is being positioned vertically, then attached to the top hoop to create a cube shape. I'm attaching some lightweight twine to one side of the top hula hoop with double knots. I'm stringing the twine across the top hula hoop in random places to create a spiderweb effect. Keeping the twine as tight as possible is the key. Now I'm positioning the wood round onto the twine.
What I did was I laid out some cardboard, spray painted it a couple of times to make both boards the exact same length. You're gonna take your first hula hoop that's already painted, and you're gonna set it on top of the boards. Then what we're gonna do is drill through all 4 corners here. You're gonna put one of your hooks in with it. Make sure it's facing up and you'll screw it through it. We're gonna do the same thing over here. Now what we're gonna do is turn it around and do the other side. We're gonna take a little bit of dab of glue right next to the screw, take the rope and just gently wrap it around the loop.
Grab a pool noodle and a hula hoop for this front porch decoration. I'm going to use a utility knife to slice the pool noodle vertically. This is going to allow me to open up the pool noodle and slip it around the hula hoop. I'm going to need about 1.5 noodles to cover this hula hoop. Now I'm going to grab some duct tape and just secure the pieces together. So I'm going to grab some burlap ribbon and just wrap it around the pool noodle. Now that this is all covered in burlap, I've got these little pockets created. This is going to help me place some greenery on here nice and easy. I have these big stems and I can tuck these into the folds of the burlap. Now I'm just going to grab some floral wire and secure this. For a little ambiance, I'm going to wrap some fairy lights all around and intertwine them within the leaves. I've got a plastic planter that's filled with some rocks on the bottom. I'm going to put a paint stick in here just to kind of hold it up a little bit. So I'm going to use a few zip ties to secure the wreath that I just made to the planter.
First thing we're gonna need to do is take a pool noodle and just put a slice right down the center of it. We're gonna use this to add it on top of your hula hoop. So I'm just gonna take a couple zip ties just to make sure I secure the pool noodle onto the hula hoop. Now we're gonna go ahead and add some florals to the hula hoop. And I'm just gonna take a zip tie and zip it on. Next, we're gonna just go around and fill in all the other places with some beautiful florals and greenery because we wanna cover up the pool noodle. Now I've taken a ribbon and had 3 strands cut evenly and tie this onto here so that way this design will hang.
Take a hula hoop and some fairy lights. With a hot glue gun and the twinkle lights, create icicles with each strand and glue them to the hula hoop. Grab a garland and some other greenery from Dollar Tree and begin hot gluing them to the top and around the circumference of the hula hoop. Take macrame cord or rope and hot glue 4 strands of the same length around the hula hoop. Knot them together at the top and add more rope to hang.
Here we have a child's hula hoop that we picked up at the dollar store. So in order to secure our flowers, we're gonna have to work in a pool noodle. And all we're going to do is cut through one side of the pool noodle. So what we're going to do is open it up and work it right inside the hula hoop. And we're gonna circulate the pool noodle all the way around. So once you get all the way around, you're gonna notice that we have a little spot missing. We're gonna cut into a second pool noodle and do the same exact process. We can just take some tape and we're gonna secure the two pieces together. Now I just have some white satin ribbon. To secure it, I'm gonna use a couple floral pins and I'm gonna add some hot glue to the ends to really make sure it's nice and permanent. Now what we can do is start wrapping this. Now it's time to enhance this, and all we're going to do is snip off each individual stem. I added a generous amount of hot glue, and all we're going to do is just lift up the ribbon and poke it right in. Up next, we have some dogwood flowers. Now I have this hanging foliage, so we're gonna take it, add a little bit of hot glue, just working it underneath the ribbon. To hang this up, I'm going to use some of our wire.
You're not going to believe what I did with mini lights and a hula hoop. I spray painted one side of the hula hoop green, I let it dry, flipped it over, and spray painted the other side. Once dry, I used a green zip tie to attach faux vine greenery to the hula hoop. Next, I tied jute around the hula hoop and strung it across the hoop to the other side. I wrapped it around a couple of times and then strung it back and tied it where I started. I did this 3 more times, evenly dividing the sections of where I tied the jute and crossing at the same spot in the center. With each of the long ends, I tied them to either side of the ring of the mason jar. Next, I glued jute weaving around the battery pack of mini string lights, wrapped the lights around, and then I stuffed it in each mason jar. I attached the mason jars to the ring and hung it all up.
Head down to Five Below and grab you one of them inexpensive rugs. But first, why don't we grab some hula hoops? We're gonna need to spray paint those your favorite color. Once you give that some time to dry, bring it on inside. Set your hula hoop down, and we need 2 pieces of board. I'm going to mark it exactly where I want to cut it on the hula hoop. Once we got those cut, bring them back inside. We've got to put some hot glue down, just temporary, to hold the wood in place on the bottom hula hoop. Go ahead and place the top one on. You're going to make sure it's matched perfectly to the one on the bottom. Pre-drill it and use a screw that will go through the hula hoop into the wood. Once we do that, let's lay that rug out that we got at Five Below. We're going to take the hula hoop and lay it out on there. Take a black marker and go ahead and mark around the hula hoop. We want to cut it right down that black marker, lay it out, and again, it's time to grab that hot glue. We're going to go ahead and put this down. It's going to tack it down for us. And then it's time to go ahead on the front and put some hooks on.
I went to the store and grabbed some hula hoops along with black matte spray paint. I took the hoops out to my garden and decided to attach them to my house using small poultry staples. I then slipped a piece of pipe cleaner through the hole and attached the hoop, twisting the ends together. I used black electrical tape to join the hoops together. To attach the plant, I carefully moved each stem, bundling some together and following the curve of the hoop.
I grabbed this big hula hoop from Five Below. So I'm going to take this first one, place it there. We're going to do the same thing to a second one, and we're going to place this in an opposite motion. We're going to place this on either end again. Just take our zip tie, and we're going to keep the pointy end towards the surface. We're going to just snip off our ribbon, and now it's time to create the main portion of our bow. So this is non-wired ribbon. It is a little bit different to use as it doesn't hold its shape, but after making about 3 to 5 loops on either side, we're going to have the perfect bow, and that is good enough for me. Let's finish our final loop. To secure our bow, we're going to use a piece of wire. Take our tails that we pre-cut and just tuck them underneath our bow. Twist it secure. We can just secure that right on top of the zip tie and tie that wire together. We're going to just lift up the greenery we've already worked in, tuck it underneath, and use another zip tie to keep that in place.
Just what I need for my latest project, hula hoops. Take some metallic paint that's made for plastics. I'm going to paint these gold. Now you're going to want to get some kind of a clear sealer spray with a light coat of the glaze. Right here, we're going to drill a hole in each side. I'm going to put one hoop inside the other and try and line up my holes where I have drilled. And I'm going to go outside and push all the way through, and then I'm going to push it through the next one. So I have it through 2 hoops. There we go. I have it through all 3, and then before it slips back off, I'm going to put a nut on that. And when I paint these, this will get painted also. I'm going to take a dollar store decorative cake tray and put a small hole in it. It's on high temperature, and I'm just going to put it right in the middle of there. And that is probably all we need. And now I'm going to try and put this right over top of that. Take some Gorilla Clear Grip contact adhesive to secure the plate right here to my hula hoop. And I'm going to put a generous amount wherever these hoops meet. I have just hung it from my garage door with some wire. So now I can go to work on the easy part. The construction of this was the hard part.
I grabbed a bunch of these colorful glass gems from the dollar store and found an old side table to upcycle. The first thing I did was to remove the top and give it a good clean. Then I applied a coat of white paint, let it dry, gave it a light sanding and added another coat. Next, I marked the center, then drew 90-degree radial lines from the center to divide it into 4 equal quadrants. I applied glue on one section of the tabletop and started arranging the gems in one quadrant. Then mirrored the pattern on the opposite side to keep it symmetrical. I kept repeating this until the entire top was covered in gems. After letting the glue dry completely, it was time for the epoxy. Before that, I added duct tape around the round top to create an edge for our epoxy pour. Also added some glitter to the mixture. Once mixed, I started pouring the epoxy across the surface, making sure to cover all the gaps between the gems. I poured the remaining clear epoxy on top and popped the bubble and let it cure for 48 hours, keeping the table in a dust-free environment. After it's fully cured, gave the edges a light sanding to smoothen it out, the finished top to the leg.
I saw these gems at the dollar store. To start this project, I need to get the old window ready. Some white paint will do the trick to lighten up this dark frame. Now that the paint is dry, I want to give the edges a little distressing, and it's time to start adding the clear gems. Now that I have the first layer of clear gems down, I want to use these beautiful blue and purple ones. I'm using a clear silicone adhesive to stick the gems in place.
Grab a few bags of colored gems from your local Dollar Tree. Then place a sheet of parchment paper onto a cookie sheet and pour out all the gems onto it. Make sure they are all in an even layer. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees and place the gems inside for about 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes are up, pour all the gems directly into the ice water bath. You will hear them start to crackle and break. Let them sit for 5 minutes and then drain the water out into the sink. Now grab your plain picture frame and start gluing your crackled gems onto it. I use B7000 glue for this because it allows for some wiggle room before completely drying, unlike hot glue.
Grab some marbles from the Dollar Tree. Use a foil pie pan and line or cover the inside with parchment paper. Next, fill a bowl with concrete mix, add water, and stir until everything is combined. Then pour the concrete mix into the lined foil pan and continue to add concrete mix until you get the height that you want. Then start adding and placing marbles and colorful tiles on top of the concrete mix. Allow the stone to set and remove the parchment paper.
Headed down to my local Dollar Tree. I'm going to start with these glass beads. I'm going to also head over and get some rubbing alcohol. Next, I grabbed this bowl, got it from Home Depot. I'm going to grab some sand, start putting it in the bottom. So you want to fill it up to where when you get your bowl, you're going to kind of be level with the top and it has a firm foundation. Let's go ahead and start putting some more sand in so that it holds it in place to level it out. Make sure that bowl is firm. We don't want any spillage or that thing moving when we light it up. Go ahead and put the metal bowl in and then remember those glass beads and start placing them all the way around. Take that rubbing alcohol and pour a little bit in there. Give it a little bit of a flame and it's going to light right up.
So I went to the dollar store and I bought 3 bags of those vase filler gems. After sorting them, I washed them off using Blue Dawn and water and then laid them out to dry. I drew lines from the edge of the vanity to meet the mirror line. I applied a thin coat of mastic using a small notched trowel. Then the fun began as I pressed the gems into the mastic. I worked in small sections so the mastic wouldn't dry too quickly. Once I was done, I mixed the grout. I mixed 1 cup of grout to a half a cup of water. I applied the grout in small sections, making sure I was pushing it between each of the gems. I wanted to make sure that every spot was filled in between them. After 1 hour, I checked again, and yep, it was nice and dry. Using a large spun and plain water, I washed away all of the excess grout. I removed the painter's tape that I had placed on the top of the vanity and applied caulk, smoothing it out with my finger.
So I grabbed an old window at a rummage sale, I cleaned it up, and now I'm just adding a coat of white paint. When the paint dries, you can just go back with a razor blade and scrape off any that's left on the glass. Now I'm gonna grab these little gems. I have them in blue, red, white, and clear. I'm using a really strong glue to attach these marbles to the glass. This is E6000. It's gonna hold these on here super well.
For this project, you're going to want to run over to your local dollar store and grab some glass gems. I painted the board a little bit of a white wash on the back just so it gives a good color for the backing. Now this all-purpose glue is perfect. All you got to do is lay it down, take the mirror after you got a few marks to center it, and place it on the board. Using the same all-purpose glue and a popsicle stick, and you're just going to put a little bit of glue on the back. Just slide them into place. You'll want to use non-sanded grout. Put your water in and start stirring it. Once you get it mixed pretty good, add your choice of paint color. Keep pushing it on there and get in between every glass gem. Once you got it down, grab your sponge, squeeze it out, not too damp, and you're just going to start wiping the top.
So I've already preheated the oven to 350, and we're gonna go ahead and bake these for about 20 minutes. Go ahead and fill up a pan or a bowl with ice and water. And dump these in here, and you can hear it. They pretty much immediately just fracture, and they're now ready to use. First, I'm gonna start by placing my glass pieces where I want them. I'm using Mixed Media Girl Artist Resin, and I actually want to pour this over my stones here. I'm gonna start off with white paste. I'm gonna spread it out a bit with my finger. I'm gonna get in here with the white metallic, and I'm gonna get in here with the pearl. A little more of just that flat white. So I'm gonna take some of this gold, and I'm gonna use my stick, and I'm gonna make these thinner lines. The last thing we need to do is take a torch and get rid of the air bubbles. Then we're gonna leave this cure.
So I went to the dollar store and bought 35 bags of gems. They were really dusty, so I removed them from their little bags and washed them with mild soap and water. After washing them, I laid them out on a towel to dry. Several months ago, I completed a backsplash in my bathroom above the sink. People commenting on that post asked for the entire wall to be covered with gems. So here you go. I began by drawing a level line a little higher than the backsplash. Then I measured the height of that line from the floor and made marks on the wall and connected the line. Another comment on that original backsplash post was that I didn't create a pattern on the wall. So on this one, I decided to draw some seaweed. After the pattern was drawn, I began to apply mastic inside the seaweed lines, filling them in with the different sizes of green gems. I worked on small sections of the wall at a time, working my way up the wall. Once I got to where I had put the original backsplash, I added the mastic and continued with the 3 different colors of gems. It was a little hard working around the toilet, but hey, with my skinny fingers, I made it work. I really liked using the different sizes of the green inside the seaweed. I think it gave it more of a texture and a really interesting look. When I finished applying the gems to the wall, I measured and cut a piece of chair rail and then fastened that to the wall with a brad nailer. I then took mastic and filled in the gap and then added more gems. I mixed my grout until it was the consistency of mashed potatoes. I applied the grout to the wall using a putty knife. And working in small sections, I added the grout and then removed the excess with a wet sponge.